Hi, PJ Scott with Veterans Forum, your Navy Waves veteran, 1971 to 1979. I, in fact, have broken service. I had gotten out in 75, joined the reserves, and by God, I got called back up in 77 and stayed until 79. And I joined the military as a patriotic young woman when I graduated from high school in Santa Barbara at 18, but I wanted that GI Bill. I wanted to go to college, and that's what I ultimately did. With me today is a man who had a big influence on me and led me to create Veterans Forum in 2002, maybe one, it's been a while, in Bremerton, Washington. He was hosting a program at KAZV in Modesto, California, which at the time was an independent station, and I understand now is another PEG station. Fred Bigler and his program, Family Values. I believe Frank Azevedo, who was the owner, director of KAZV, told Fred he needed a woman who could chat and there'd be no dead air, and he immediately thought of me.
Indeed.
So here he is, Fred Bigler. Thank you for joining me on Veterans Forum.
Thank you, PJ. Good to be here. A little different theme, veterans.
Right.
Right. Family values, but now veterans,
now,
so it's good to be here.
How long did you end up doing Family Values? Because it was at that time I was losing
It was about
my
a
vision.
year and a half.
Oh,
year and a half before, and then things changed in the station and so forth. So.
Right. But we reached a lot of people.
Yeah, we did. It was a lot of fun, too.
Yeah, it was. That's where I learned to get guests and not be afraid of the camera.
That's right.
Yeah. And if you muff it, so what? Just keep on trucking.
Oh, yeah. It's okay.
So, Fred, tell us a little bit about your life before you joined the military.
Well, I was born in 1943 in Los Angeles and went to public schools there. And then in the 8th grade, we moved to Turlock when I was in the 8th grade. And my life totally changed then from...
I imagine Los Angeles to
Turlock.
Turlock.
Yes, right. Los Angeles to Turlock. And from just a city kid to a country boy milking cows. So you can imagine the change that was from just city life to a country life of milking cows and living on a dairy.
Right.
And then went to high school in Turlock and college in the area too.
Now, 43, World War II was going on. Was your father in the military?
He was actually a merchant marine.
Oh, okay. Very valuable.
That's what he did.
Right, right.
I was a war baby.
Yeah, yeah, you were. That's all
right.
Right, right. Okay. So you graduated from Turlock, and at some point...
And then went to college, and during my college year, the Vietnam War was looming on the horizon and full-blown. In 1966, I was drafted.
Okay.
So I spent 2 years in the Army and went to Turkey.
Were you surprised by that?
Well, I kind of thought I would end up in Vietnam.
Well, yeah, I guess you would.
You would think that.
Right.
But not so. They needed some in Europe, went to Europe for just a short time, and then they shipped me to Turkey.
And what kind of job did you have in Turkey?
I was a personnel specialist and clerk typist. In Turkey, we did, they had a lot of Air Force in Turkey as well.
Right.
But I was in the Army, and they did a lot of electronic eavesdropping.
Oh, okay. Say no more.
Yeah, that's kind of what we did. And of course, we do that all over the world in so many different ways, even today. So.
Yes, yes. So you got out and would you have 2 years reserve time?
2 years reserve time, went to San Francisco for 2 weeks, and then interesting, in 1984, I went back in the National Guard.
Oh,
so that was another whole experience, different.
Right.
And had a lot of interesting experiences. I don't know if the military's fun, but it's interesting, and it's a whole different way of life and a perspective that is unique to have in experiencing life in its totality.
Did you have a lot of brothers and sisters?
I was from a family of 6. There was 4 boys and 2 girls.
Well, the reason I said that is because I'm thinking that the military, for some people, gives them boundaries and guidelines they didn't get when they were kids. And generally speaking, I could be wrong, don't write me, I'm sure there's an exception to every rule. Bigger families, the more children you have, the more, shall I say, regimented you gotta be.
Well, I guess
To
there's
have
a
a
tendency there. You have to fight for your cookies, that's for sure.
Right, I'm sure.
And, there's a lot of aspects to it, but when I got out of the military, I went into probation work working with at-risk kids. And today, I've been instrumental in designing military school for high school kids. And I'd kind of like to share a little bit about what we do for kids using the military model to help kids stabilize and find success in their life.
What do you find are the two reasons? I'm sure there's more than others, and it's a lot more complicated than what we have time to get into today. What are the leading readings you find that kids are at risk?
Well, a lot of things, but primarily it's the inability of the family to help socialize a child. Many families are so distracted and destroyed themselves, just barely functioning, that they're not able to really help the kids mature. So what happens is kids do not have the skills to interact within society, and they don't identify with successful role models. And so what we have in California, in the Central Valley, and all throughout California, a lot of kids identifying with gangs because the family wasn't strong enough to help them become stabilized.
That's really unfortunate, but true.
Yeah, and so what we did in Stanislaus County, where I'm now employed with the Stanislaus County Office of Education, what we've done is we've taken our at-risk kids and designed a military program, because the military model solves a lot of problems that kids have. Kids need to identify with something bigger than themselves.
Right.
And the military model gives kids a way to identify with who they are. So our military academy, called Stanislaus Military Academy, helps kids get connected. And this is a big part of what they need. So many kids go to school and they're just there among other 3,000 kids, and they don't feel a connection.
Right.
They kind of wander in and out of school wondering what's going on and looking for fun and some excitement.
And if you're not athletic and go for sports, you're really, or
Well,
or the drama club or something.
yeah,
mean,
you
there
need
are
some kind
those-
of
yeah.
extra club, extracurricular
Right,
activities.
yeah.
And that's where the military model comes in, with working with our at-risk kids. So what we did is we took our alternative education site and turned it into a military academy, which means that every kid gets a military uniform. And we have military teachers in military uniform. We have actually went and got sergeants. I went to the Veterans Associations and got people who are either retired from the military or have had military experience come in and assist our teachers in controlling the classroom and providing the military model to help kids find success. So
You got a big job there, because I know my kids are all now in their early 30s, and it's really sad how they know so many children that were broken homes, some kind of addiction abuse on the parents, usually one hit the road, no structure, no discipline.
And that's the very thing that military, the military does for many young people today. They're kind of wandering around looking for something to do. The military gives them total structure. You get up when the military says,
Right.
you eat, you go
Right.
to bed, your whole
Right.
life is structured, you have a job. So
Right.
this is kind of what we do for kids in high school. They come to school 7:15, get out at 3:15. It's a full day for them, and we give them military uniform, boots, the woodland green.
They go home, or do they spend
Yeah.
the night? They go
No,
home.
they go home. Let me show you one of our brochures. I'd like to
hold
show
that
our
up. Hold that up to the
audience right
camera.
here. Take a look at our brochure that shows a young person in military uniform.
And does this lead them to have more success at home? I
Well-
mean, do the parents participate in this at all?
We've had a lot of parents volunteer, real successful program. Parents see a definite change in their young people once they get into the program, no question about it. Because kids that don't like school are the ones we work with. And the reason is because they feel lost. So here they have an identity, they have a uniform. There's no longer gang rivalry because there's no more reds and blues. It's all military uniform.
Right.
And we provide structure. And so our program is military theme, which the structure is military.
Right.
And then we have a strong character program that goes with that. And in our character program, every kid gets one of these little character cards. I don't know if it's very small, I don't know if your audience can take a look, but this is a little character card.
And what's on this character card?
Well, we call it the SMA, Stanislaus Military Cadet Guide, and we ask each kid to take the pledge. When he comes to our school, they take the pledge. And it goes like this: I pledge to respect myself by growing in wisdom and living by core values. I pledge to respect others by being kind and unselfish. And I pledge to respect authority by obeying the rules and regulations of Stanislaus Military Academy. So respect yourself, respect others, and respect authority. And that's a big part of what the military is today. And then we have the 5 core values that we expect the kids to memorize.
And they are?
Would be commitment, discipline, respect, courage, and honor. So that's on our shield. I'll show that to your audience. Right, here's our
Yeah,
shield.
that's something parents should be doing at home, because unfortunately, like, so many parents are, and now the economy is so bad, particularly single parents. I mean, my God, they're doing the job of 4 or 5 people, barely keeping their head above water, and if they don't have an aunt or a grandparent in the background helping out.
The TV's on 7 hours a day,
that as
so
well.
you can understand there's a lot of killing and murder and craziness going on TV and comedy. So, but the real serious values of life, this is what the military has taught for generations. Courage, commitment, honor, respect, discipline. Those kind of values that are instilled in our young people that go into the military. And we're doing the same thing in our military academy. And parents see a big change.
Well, Tyler joined the SMA because he was not doing very well with independent studies. He had gotten behind and he needed the structure. SMA put him back on track.
What I like best about Stanislaus Military Academy is the discipline. Just because there's more physical activity, there's more structure. I wasn't motivated at all to get anything done at home by myself. Thanks to Stanislaus Military Academy, I'm on track to graduate.
So the military has served not only many generations of people like myself and yourself, giving them stability, and I know more than most, have heard so many testimonies of young people going into the military, kind of lost, immature, not really knowing what they want to do in their life, and they come out with a more mature view and able to really get established. And that's what we're doing in our Stanislaus Military Academy.
One of the number one things, Fred, is self-respect. My God, if you don't have self-respect, what else is going to fall into place?
Well, and the way we give self-respect to our students is through our first pledge. It goes, I pledge to respect myself by growing in wisdom and living by core values. So here's their little card, and on the back of it, it's really probably too small for the audience to see, but on the back of it, we give the 5 core values. So we expect our young people to be able to live by the core values.
Now, how long has this military academy been in existence?
We just completed it 4 years now in Stanislaus County.
Is this going on in other counties, do you know, in California?
Some other counties have similar programs, but most of them are residential programs run probably by independent or in conjunction with the probation departments. And there's several others. There's the Oakland Military Institute, which is a charter school. And there's a charter school in Madera County and in Southern California too. Ours is just run by the County Office of Education.
Okay, well now this program gets mailed out to Alaska, 11, 12 stations in Washington State, 6, 7, 8, I forget, in Oregon, California, Idaho, and Montana. And there's troubled youth all
Yes.
over the USA. This could end up on YouTube. And someone's going to say to themselves, gee, does my community have this? And if they don't, and they're really inspired, how do you go about creating something like this? Who would they call their Office of Education?
Yes.
Their local
Well,
legislator? I
a
mean, how would they
couple
go about-
ideas. If they, of course, write me in Stanislaus County, 1100 8th Street, Modesto, I'll send them a brochure that, as we just showed to your TV audience. And the easiest way to establish a program like this is through the Office of Education for the county, because county at-risk programs, working with at-risk kids, we qualify for federal funds. And federal funds are really one of the ways that you can afford a program like this.
I would
or
think it
you
almost
can get
be imperative,
grants.
right?
Yeah, you have to, it's imperative. State funds are not sufficient to handle programs like this.
Give your address again, because people have heard you say it real quick and
Yeah.
they just reached for a pencil and then it was gone. So write Fred Bigler,
Stanislaus County Office of Education, 1100 H Street, Modesto, California, 95354. And I'll
Okay.
send a person a brochure,
okay?
and if they like, contact me. Be happy to talk about how it can be done anywhere. you
Well,
know.
right, because, yeah, it isn't just the San Joaquin Valley
Right.
that has troubled youth. Get real, it's all over the
But we
USA.
found the military model to be just so effective because kids learn to stand at attention. I mean, that right there is hard for many of our young people to do. They're kind of diffused in their focus. Their attention spans are very short, come and go, talk, say what they want to. Kind of that I can do my own thing and attitude.
Right,
Where in the military school, we teach them how to control their own personal body, how to stand at attention, how to march. I've dealt with a lot of at-risk kids. They really do not know how to march. They don't understand their left foot from their right foot. And I don't mean that facetiously. I'm
Right.
serious.
right.
They just are so under-socialized that they need a program that has a military theme to provide the structure and the identity and the attachment and connection that is necessary to develop the personality.
It sounds like the state, I don't care what level of government, in the long run, you're saving money because at-risk kids end up in gangs, breaking the law. If they don't respect themselves, why would they respect their
Well-
boss? I'll come to work when I
Yeah.
feel like it, yada,
One of
yada,
our
yada.
biggest supporters is Sheriff Adam Christensen, the sheriff of Stanislaus County, who said to us, your program is going to help us keep kids off the streets
Right.
and socialize kids and mature kids and help kids become successful. So he's a real big supporter of our county program.
Good, good. So where do you go from here? I mean,
Well, one of the things
how many
that
students
we're doing,
how many students
we have
do you-
200 kids. We have 200
Oh,
students.
okay, that's
So
a
where
good-
we're going from here is we're going down. We're starting our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade program because so many kids, they say,
Oh, and going down, you're catching them earlier.
yes,
Okay.
catching them earlier in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, because by the time young people get into the 7th grade, puberty begins and they begin other ideas,
Right.
and they become kind of dysfunctional and not looking at school and getting distracted. So if we can get them in that 6th and 7th and 8th grade, we feel we can be a lot more effective. So, and that's a tough population to work with because they're very impulsive.
Right. Now, how do the kids come to you? Does a teacher suggest it? Does a parent suggest it? Is someone,
All of
before
the
you
above.
get them, who recommends them?
Okay, all of the above, but generally the way we get kids into our program is after a while the schools find out that they don't have the tools to work with some of these really dysfunctional kids. So they recommend to the parents that if the student is not doing well in school, that maybe they need to go to our military academy. So we have we have referrals from the high schools in Stanislaus County who say, this kid is needing a little bit more attention than we can give them. So let's refer them to the military program.
Now, okay, now that makes me wonder, a child could need more attention, not because he's having problems socially, he's just not
Well,
academically performing the way they'd like, but that
what
doesn't
we
mean he
have
couldn't be a
found,
model citizen.
PJ, what we have found on this is that these are just kids that with the right structure, they do well in school. They're just kids with a lot of energy. They don't know what to do with themselves, looking around for something to do.
Right.
Well, we give them something to do. And the amazing thing is that they come to school. Now, let me explain that. Many of the kids we deal with have not had a very good attendance at school because school bores them. So they don't get to school. But our kids, to get to school, are required to ride on a bus. And many of them do get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's like unbelievable. 5 o'clock in the morning to get to high school?
That
Who
really,
does that?
Yeah, I can remember having to get up that early in boot camp, and boy, that was not fun. I'm not an early bird person, but by God, I did it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's such a switch for kids, and to report, to say yes sir and no sir, and to salute. It's like, whoa, what is this? And military uniform.
Right.
And we find a lot of kids who want the challenge.
You know, I wonder though if the kids don't feel safer there though.
Oh, they do.
Well,
We've
they
heard a
would- I
lot
mean,
of kids,
yeah,
because this is a big problem in a lot of your larger high school.
Yes.
Kids come in, they're lost. They're looking for friends. They're looking for some companionship, looking for something to do.
And looking to dodge the bullies.
Oh, indeed. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So we're able to provide so much structure because there are different rankings, just in the military. We have our captain of the corps, and each kid's got a rank. He's got a place in the platoons, and each class is its own platoon, has their own guide on, and they learn to march. And so you learn what your personal space is. If I could reach my hand out now, this is my personal space as far as my hand goes.
Right.
And it's about me. So a person's personal space is the length of their hand. And so many kids in high school have their personal space invaded constantly, and that's very unsettling, although many times we don't think about it.
Right.
But in the military, you line up in your platoon and you put your arm out, and this is your personal space as you line up in formation. So many things like this: identity, your ranking, your military card that I explained,
Fits
the
in
cadet
your
guide.
wallet. You can review
And
it
each
constantly.
kid, each kid is required to memorize this. And when there's a problem, we ask them, well, what part of your pledge did you just violate? What core value did you violate? So we constantly refer the child to their own sense of responsibility. What did you do? And I don't want to hear about the story, because the story can go on for hours. I get right to the point, which is, what core value did you violate? Did you disrespect? Oh, and that's the big one.
Okay, so that gets them thinking that actions cause consequences, and might how I've handled that differently. How many, because we're coming to the end here, how many of your young people end up choosing the military?
Well, we don't push the military. We use the military model to help kids stabilize.
Right.
But we have, out of each class, maybe we have 75 kids graduate a year. I would say about 10 of them go into the military.
Okay. Nonetheless, they're all going to be much better prepared for the real world, because the real world, and don't get me wrong, my viewers know I'm legally blind, so I don't read books the way I used to. So I do watch TV, but you know, you don't watch TV. I don't know how you watch TV and earn money. I don't know how you do TV and clean the house and raise the kids and all the things we must do in our daily lives to keep body and soul together. Yeah.
Well, it's a job, and you know, I would just say this: socialization of our young people is very challenging, and the family unit has a big job to help socialize. And I just tell parents, don't go it alone. You need all the help you can get. You know, you need the church, you need the school, and you need the home, and you need to teach good citizenship. But when families are themselves struggling, it's harder for them to help socialize their young people. So I encourage parents to get involved with the school in any way they can, whatever programs are available, help kids get a job, because that helps socialize, and kids make it. We all make it when we think about it. We went through the teenage years. They were difficult. We got through, and we're helping a lot of kids make good choices in Stanislaus County for their life and for success.
Well, Fred, thank you for all you're doing to make a better America. And one more time, as we close, give that address, please. Where they can
At Stanislaus County Office of Education, 1100 8th Street, Modesto, 95354.
Thank you, Fred.
Yeah,
Listen, thank you for watching. This was interesting. And I hope it's piqued your curiosity how to make better citizens out of our children and our youth. They are our future. If you're a vet, you're serving now. If you're a family taking care of a severely disabled vet, God bless you. And the rest of us will remember to pray for our wounded and our permanently seriously disabled. This is P.J. Scott with Fred Bigler. See you next time.